Last Night in Soho is a 2021 British psychological horror film directed by Edgar Wright and co-written by Wright and Krysty Wilson-Cairns. It stars Thomasin McKenzie, Anya Taylor-Joy, Matt Smith, Rita Tushingham, Michael Ajao, Terence and Diana Rigg. It also marks the final film appearances of Rigg and Margaret Nolan, who both died in 2020. The film is dedicated to the memories of Rigg and Nolan. It premiered at the 78th Venice International Film Festival on the 4th of September 2021 and had its UK premiere on 9th of October 2021 at the BFI London Film Festival. It was theatrically released in the UK and the United States on 29th of October 2021 by Universal Pictures and Focus Features, respectively. It received generally positive reviews from critics, who praised its production design, cinematography, costume design, direction, and performances, while its writing received some criticism. Despite this, though, the film performed poorly at the box office, grossing just $23 million worldwide on a budget of $43 million. The film was nominated for 2 BAFTA Film Awards, including Outstanding British Film and Best Sound. The cast includes Thomasin McKenzie as Eloise Ellie Turner, a fashion college student, Anya Taylor-Joy as Sandy, an aspiring singer in 1960s London, Diana Rigg as Mrs. Collins, Eloise's eventual landlord, Matt Smith as Jack, Rita Tushingham as Peggy, Ellie's maternal grandmother, and Terence as Lindsay, credited as the silver-haired gentleman. Director Wright became aware of Anya Taylor-Joy when he was on the US dramatic jury at the 2015 Sundance Film Festival, where The Witch premiered, which he starred in. He met Taylor-Joy in Los Angeles shortly afterwards, where he pitched her the story for Late Night in Soho. He initially had Taylor-Joy in mind for the role of Eloise, but later came around to the idea of her playing Sandy, and she agreed after reading the draft of the script. Taylor-Joy's casting was announced in February 2019, and Thomasin McKenzie and Matt Smith were cast shortly thereafter. McKenzie got Wright's attention in what he described her naturalistic performance in the film Leave No Trace. Diana Rigg, Terence and Rita Tushingham later signed on in June. Wright said that he was filming with Rigg right up until the end and described working with her as a beautiful experience. Edgar Wright first conceived the idea of Last Night in Soho in 2007. He pitched the plot as a dark Valentine's in London and Soho neighbourhood to producers Nira Park and Rachel Pryor before the starting of the filming of The World's End in 2013. Growing up in Somerset, Wright listened to his parents' stories of the coming of age in the 1960s, which contributed to him becoming enamored with the era. He nurtured his obsession through the 1960s record collection, saying he would sort of just disappear into the decade through music. But he recalled his mother's memories of the swinging 60s London, and were not always fond ones, and that once she said, "I went to Soho once with my friend, and we got harassed by a man, and chased out." Wright's obsession with the 1960s London helped shape the themes of Last Night in Soho. He would go on to say, "There is something I find truly nightmarish, and I guess there's an element where I'm sort of giving a sharp rebuke to myself, is the danger of being overly nostalgic about previous decades. In a way, the film is about romanticizing the past, and why it's wrong to do that." Now, I found this film a very interesting introspective piece of filmmaking. Although it struggles to maintain its early thrilling momentum, Last Night in Soho shows flashes of Edgar Wright at his most stylish and ambitious best. Wright has always been a groundbreaking, interesting and different director. Just think of Baby Driver in 2017. And this film tries to establish his unique style, although not as groundbreaking as Baby Driver was. For me, this is a movie of 2 parts. One part, a glittering love letter to the disreputable nightlife district of Soho in the 1960s, and the other part being a dark psychological thriller, morphing from time travel fantasy to a dark fairy tale, from mystery to nightmarish horror. I love the film's sets, costume design, and I think Mackenzie's performance here was enchanting, as is Anya Taylor-Joy, who really cannot put a foot wrong. She's one of the finest young actresses going around, and she continues to deliver such good work. While neither of their characters gets enough depth, Mackenzie and Taylor-Joy sustain Last Night in Soho, a movie filled with reflections to both past fiction horrors, and it fits perfectly within today's Me Too terrors. This is a thrilling, gorgeously acted offering from a filmmaker who is at the top of his craft and knows exactly what he wants from his performers, and they give it to him in spades. I did, however, find there was one too many jump scares involving a cab screeching to a halt, and too many scenes of Eloise sitting up in bed and realizing it was just another dream. The one thing that stands out about this movie, though, is the fact that it blends the horror movie macabre with the 1960s glossy style. I also particularly loved Matt Smith's portrayal here. He's a wonderful actor, as is Terence Stamp. It's wonderful to see him again, and he's just so downright intense. As is Diana Rigg, of course, in her final role. She really does pull it off perfectly. This film will keep you guessing as it swiftly moves between the glossy, glamorous style of the 60s, which of course I really loved, to what becomes a downright horror, and quite frankly, scary. Stylish, bold, ambitious, and fascinating to watch, the film does lose its ways in some parts, but overall it makes for an interesting and different watch. Last Night in Soho gets an 8 out of 10.